This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 115 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Attention Skywalkers! Spoilers ahead!
Warning! Now, let's talk about what's coming up on this episode. We talk Star Wars Rebels Season 2 finale, Twilight of the Apprentice.
Attention Skywalkers!
Turn back now. Lots and lots of spoilers because we can't talk about it without spoiling everything.
That's true.
Spoilers ahead!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Hello, Skywalkers.
Listen! Up to Neverland!
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Wow. Oh,
You are skywalking through Neverland.
Hey, Skywalkers. Hey, can you guys loan us $32,001?
Why's that?
Because Han Solo's jacket from The Force Awakens just went up for auction today.
You know what, though? That's the current top bid.
The current bid is $32,000.
Oh, okay.
So if we get $32,001, we'll be the top bid, and we can own that jacket.
Until someone bids $32,002.
Then we'll ask for more.
Okay.
But
that
you
sounds
got to start low. And Harrison Ford owns this jacket. And he's donating it to raise money for research for epilepsy because his daughter has epilepsy. I did not know that.
Oh.
So hopefully we can get that number up to 50,000.
That would be
good
cool.
for the research department, but we'll need to ask you guys for more money.
I think he's choosing a very good time to do this.
This is a good time to start a Patreon page. All right, so until that money gets into our PayPal, let's continue with the show.
Yep.
So we want to thank all you guys and girls for joining us on Skywalking Through Neverland. And of course, welcome to all the new Skywalkers who are just joining us for the first time. And of course, welcome back to all the vintage,
Retro,
veteran, thank you, Rick Peralta,
first generation,
old school,
or classic Skywalkers.
to our family-friendly Star Wars Disney podcast that brings you entertaining stories from creators and fans. And as a preview of things to come, we just recorded a roundtable discussing the generational Star Wars fans because we put that out on Twitter about what do you guys like to be called, old school, vintage, retro, and got some buzz going there.
We did, and that'll be out on the next couple episodes. We're not sure which one yet, but
we recorded a whole bunch of stuff, and then Rebels landed in our laps. Landed in our laps.
Yes.
So things got pushed back. But to move forward with this show here, because we keep getting sidetracked, this is Richard, and please, everyone say hello to my sweetie, media-trained wife, Sarah. I had to think about that one.
That's very true. Oh my goodness. Should we tell them the story now or a little later? Well, StarWars.com said I was media trained. So there you go. That was pretty exciting.
Well, you've been doing a podcast for 2.5 years now. So
it's true.
You're media trained.
Yeah, we'll get into the story of how that happened at the Star Wars Rebels finale screening.
So much happened at the screening. So keep getting sidetracked.
I know. So we want to welcome you all. Thank you for joining us. And those who are watching on Periscope, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that. And I know it's a little bit early this morning than usual, so thanks for tuning in. Now, we love when you share the show on social media. So when you share it on @SkywalkingPod or tweet at us @SkywalkingPod, you are officially a Tweetwalker and part of our Skywalker family. So please tweet at us while you listen to the show. We love that.
Sarah needs something to read during our social media mornings.
Absolutely.
Now, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on March the 30th, 2016.
Oh, March is almost over.
Where
it's my
is
birthday
this year
month.
Going?
I know. I like March.
Every month is your birthday month.
That's true. We got a new refrigerator. That was an awesome birthday present / Easter present / awesome present. All right.
Right. Okay. Enough tangents.
I know.
But we do have to thank everyone for tuning in last week. We didn't have a Skywalking Through Neverland episode, but we had a classic Marvel Star Wars comics episode with Randy Martinez. And I just can't tell you how much we love doing those.
It's super fun.
What do you guys think about these episodes? Do you love the vintage look? Love to hear your comments. Because we love reading back on these comics that I haven't read in 40 years and seeing people come up, these characters come up like Crimson Jack and Jackson. And why do I bring those two characters up, Sarah?
Because we might be dressing as them at the Star Wars Half Marathon.
What do you mean might?
Well, if we can get our act together.
Okay, fair enough. So for the Star Wars Half Marathon, I'm going to be Crimson Jack. I announced that here. And Sarah's going to be the Green Bunny Jackson.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael, for, he says, sharing perspective on comics is awesome and new.
Oh.
My perspective, because
Yeah.
Cool.
It is, because you're a youngin'.
It's true.
Now, let's talk about what's coming up on this episode. We talk Star Wars Rebels Season 2 finale, Twilight of the Apprentice.
Oh my goodness. So Monday night, we actually were invited to the Walt Disney Studios to see the screening, and we knew that Dave Filoni and Simon Kinberg would be there, along with some special guests. Well, special guests turned out to be an entire red carpet setup, and like the entire voice cast of Star Wars Rebels was there. Ashley Eckstein sporting a new Her Universe Poe Finn jacket, which, oh my gosh, I have to have, and that will be at Hot Topic mid-April.
Yeah, I literally handed Ashley Eckstein my credit card, which she got a big kick out of, and she walked away with. So, Ashley, if you're listening, I'd like that back, please.
Yes.
Yeah, Taylor Gray, Ezra was there. Vanessa Marshall, D. Bradley Baker.
Steve Blum. Yeah.
Clancy Brown, Savage Opress.
Yeah, although he wasn't walking the red carpet.
No,
but
he was like hanging in the background.
yeah, he was. And then we go to these events. Well, I was even periscoping the red carpet for some of you. And oh my gosh, I was periscoping around, and when you're periscoping, you're kind of paying attention to your screen and not who you're periscoping. I just happened to run right into a group of guys, and who should be there but Holocron Keeper. Leland Chi was there. He was like, hi. Yeah.
All right. As you can tell, we got so many stories. And,
Yeah.
and we brought our recorder, which we just showed everybody, and we just left it on and just got so much stuff for you Skywalkers.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous how much stuff we got.
Yes.
But we got to say right now, if you have not seen Season 2 finale, turn back now. Lots and lots of spoilers, because we can't talk about it without spoiling everything.
That's true. And no one wants to listen to a show that we're like just tap dancing around
Yeah.
the thing. We need to get right into it, dig into the meat of the episode.
Periscopers, don't you worry. We're not going to spoil anything for you, because we're going to cut the Periscope before we get into all that stuff. So don't worry about that. But for you listening to the show, turn back now. Listen to it after you've seen the episode.
Yes.
All right, now, before we unleash our comprehensive coverage of the Rebels season finale, let's ease into things with our Cliff's Notes countdown. And this time we mean it. This is going to be Cliff's Notes.
Okay.
Cliff's Notes.
Cliff Note Countdown.
Cliff's Notes. Cliff's Notes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Cliff's Notes. Cliff's Notes.
Now, all of these countdowns are as of today, March 30th. All right, Sarah, what's the first thing?
The first thing is the Run Disney Star Wars Half Marathon Dark Side Challenge at Walt Disney World, where we will be having a meetup on April 17th. So that right now, from the beginning of that Dark Side Challenge, April 14th, is 15 days away.
All right. Okay, we're going to fly through these.
Yes.
We got so much to do. 15 days until the first day of the Dark Side Challenge, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, next, Captain America Civil War.
Woohoo! That
Opening
comes out
May the 6th. 37 more days.
And then Finding Dory. I'm so excited about this movie. That comes out June 17th, and that is only 79 days away. Michael, he wants a Muppets marathon.
All right, next up is a movie I've been looking forward to, Doctor Strange.
Oh, I've been looking forward to that too.
And this arrives November the 4th of this year, and that's only a scant 219 days.
Okay, and then a month after that is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, December 16th. So that is only 261 days away. That's getting closer all the time.
All right, that ends it for this year. But next year, we have Beauty and the Beast.
Yay! live action.
Live action
With Hermione Granger.
We didn't plan that.
No.
That opens March the 17th, a week after your
Ooh.
birthday, sweetie.
Okay.
Of next year. That's only 352 days.
Less than a year. Yay. Ooh, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes out next year, May 17th. And that is 413 days away.
And then I get to read this one. Star Wars Episode 8 opens December 15th, 2017. That's only 625 days.
That's it.
On my head.
Okay, then Young Han Solo movie would be May 25th, 2018. So that's 786 days away.
It'd be funny if they just called it Young Han Solo movie.
I hope not.
Around the corner from there, we have Star Wars Episode 9, May 24th, 2019.
That's right.
That's
How many
only
days?
1,150 days. Now, keep in mind, these are movie dates, so they're all subject to change. But that's what we have for you right now. And a lot of these were submitted by Skywalkers who said, hey, give us a countdown to Finding Dory or Doctor Strange or Guardians of the Galaxy. So if anyone has something that you want us to add to the list, by all means, tweet it out. We'll add it to the list.
Yep.
As long as it's Star Wars, Disney, Marvel related.
And here you go. Michael Nip says Tim Burton's Dumbo is somewhere in there. I kind of wish it wasn't. Yeah.
Tim
I don't know
Burton's
how they're
do
going to do that live action.
It's going to be CG.
It's true.
All right, now let's move on to things we want to share. And that is the press event for Star Wars Rebels Season 2 finale.
All right. Well, okay, Skywalkers, once again, if you have not seen the season finale of Star Wars Rebels Season 2, turn back now.
Now.
All right. Does that mean we should cut
We
the
need
Periscope?
to cut it here because at this point we get into major spoiler territory.
Okay.
No!
I know. So,
Says Darth
Taxis, yes.
Oh, Darth Taxis, we're going to thank you later on, but thank you for your Easter card. It was very, very nice of you.
Yes. Okay, so everyone on Periscope, thank you for watching, you guys. And so definitely watch the episode Star Wars Rebels and then tune in to episode 115 of Skywalking Through Neverland because we will have immediate response from the cast of Star Wars Rebels just after seeing the episode. Like we did this Q&A right after we all saw it for the first time. It was amazing. All right. Bye, guys.
See you next week.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
So when we started Skywalking Through Neverland, we said our goal is to get to the Star Wars Force Awakens press conference. We never thought we would get to other Star Wars press conferences like the Rebels season finale. It was just so exciting that we got invited to this.
Yeah. Among a lot of other people, 501st, R2D2 builders, there was other press there, of course, that we knew.
No, it was just us. Now, of course, place was loaded with podcasters and press and bloggers.
Yeah.
Now, this was held last Monday, March the 28th, at the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank.
Yeah, and like we said, we knew that Simon Kinberg and Dave Filoni would be there, who are, of course, the creators of the show. But also there was Ashley Eckstein,
Vanessa Marshall,
Taylor Gray,
Steve Bloom,
D. Bradley Baker,
Tia Sircar.
And then additionally, it seems like some of the crew was there as well. So Kevin Kiner turned out to be there in the audience.
Yeah, as was Steve Melching, one of the writers.
Clancy Brown, right?
Yeah, Savaggio Press, and he also plays Ryder in Star Wars Rebels.
Right, and also Carrie Beck and Kiri Hart, who are part of the story group, they were there as well.
So the place was just star-studded full of Star Wars stars.
It was amazing.
It was amazing because they were just milling about before the screening happened. They were outside at the red carpet, which was only like 10 feet long.
Right.
But then when they finished the 10 feet, they would just walk around and mill with everybody. And it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and there wasn't like tight security around this red carpet at all because it wasn't in a public place. It was just on the Walt Disney Studios lot. So as a person who wasn't part of the red carpet, you could still just walk right next to the carpet and be like, hey, and talk. That's how,
Yeah.
I said hi to Vanessa Marshall, got a picture. And I was also talking to Taylor Gray for a little bit, too. I was like, oh, we met at Star Wars Weekends. Of course, he didn't remember me, but it was fun to talk.
Of course, he remembered you.
I know, it was cute.
Yeah, it was a great press event because they had some photo booths, and I'm sure people who follow us on Facebook saw our pictures.
Yeah, and Instagram.
Now, I know you posted the picture of us fearing Darth Vader.
Yes.
But did you also post the light side picture?
Okay, so I did on Adventures by Daddy, whom we have a lot to thank Dave Parfit for because
Woohoo, Dave Parfit.
I got in under that invite for Adventures by Daddy blog. I did do a blog post on the red carpet where I linked to my Periscope, which is saved, and I also put a bunch of pictures of the red carpet. So if you guys want to check that out, go to adventuresbydaddy.com, and that light side picture is right there.
Yeah, so they had the photo booths, Darth Vader, who was played by our friend Scott Allen, who I didn't know until yesterday on Facebook. And a couple of stormtroopers were there. And what else did they have out front? Just really, it was like a big meet and greet.
Well, to get in, instead of the usual wristband to get into the event, they gave us a button.
Oh, a cool red Darth Vader button.
Yes, which it's the Darth Vader with the Ahsoka Tano lines on it that Dave Filoni drew himself. So I was pretty excited about that.
Oh, very, very excited. And they gave out Force Awakens popcorn buckets. That was awesome. But then the screening started, so everyone was running for their seats, and we got there like an hour before. We got there an hour early to be an hour early. Just so we could get those. There's 4 front seats that we had to get that I really had my eye on.
We were front and center.
Yeah, basically. So it was me and you and Dave Scale, our Rebel Spy and Ghost host, and our good friend Adam Medina, who's been on the show several times.
Yeah. He and his family got to spend the night at the Haunted Mansion, if you remember that. That was pretty cool.
So we got those 4 front seats, and as we're sitting down, Dave Scale, he always has to go to the bathroom 3 or 4 times. I think he's pregnant. He got up to go to the bathroom, and Simon Kinberg walks by, and he says, "Oh, is this seat available?" Simon Kinberg wanted to sit right next to me.
Next to you.
For the season finale screening.
And James Jawa.
Yeah. He wanted to sit right. He asked,
and now what I just heard someone say, "Hey, is this seat available?" And I didn't look up. I just said, "Oh no, that seat's taken."
Yeah. Well, what I said.
And then I looked up a split second later, and I was like,
I said,
"Oh, whoops."
Dave, bathroom. So he looked at me drooling and just walked away.
Which is odd because he had reserved seats. Like all the cast had reserved. But maybe he wanted to sit among super fans or something.
In the front, because maybe he wanted to get a question in during the Q&A.
But he was a part of the Q&A.
But that's like one of my... It's like, Dave, of all the times to go to the bathroom, why right then? It took every ounce of energy to say, I'm sorry, the seat is taken. Oh.
Yeah.
And then it was James Jawa that said, "You realize you just denied Simon Kinberg a seat right next to you during the season 2 finale?"
You know what, though?
Screening?
You'd probably be so sidetracked you couldn't enjoy the screening.
But still, what a story to tell.
I know.
Oh.
I know.
So I
we
said
don't
to Dave,
know.
you know what? That's your birthday present for the next 100 years.
That you didn't give up Dave's seat.
Yes.
Because Dave, at that time, a lot of the seats were already filled in the theater. So.
Yeah, he would have to sit in the balcony if there was one.
Yeah.
So, and then Brian Young tweeted that out.
Yeah, yep. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Brian Young, who was also there.
Skywalking Through Neverland guest and one of the hosts of Full of Sith.
He tweeted out, "The best part of the night was watching James Jawa and Skywalking Pod telling Kinberg they didn't have a seat for him."
Now I'm going to edit this part out because I don't want to relive this ever again.
I don't think we'll ever live that down.
No.
Oh boy.
But he found a seat, and 7 o'clock rolled around, and it was time for the screening. And Sarah, you and I just clutched each other because we were afraid of what was going to happen.
Yes, we were.
Now, looking back now, what did you think was going to happen in this episode? We knew that Vader and Ahsoka were going to battle.
Absolutely. So just from that alone, I was really scared for Ahsoka because we all know that Vader turns up in A New Hope.
But there's
We
no signs of Ahsoka.
all know that we never see Ahsoka in the classic trilogy. So I was really scared for for my girl Ahsoka, for her universe, for Ashley. Meh. To me, they're all one thing, and I was freaked out, and I just So that's kind of where my focus was on anything Vader and Ahsoka.
Now, I still go back to my initial thought of they're never gonna kill off Ahsoka.
Right.
She means way too much to the fan community, and she means way too much to the little girl fan community.
Right.
And to see her getting, once again, everyone turn back if you haven't watched this yet. They would never kill off a character that means so much to all these little fangirls.
Or at least never show it.
Yeah, or even, well, no, they're never going to show that, but I don't think they're ever going to kill her off.
Right, but as we've seen, and if you've seen the episode, you know, it's a bit ambiguous as to what occurs.
Is it really?
I think there's definitely up for question. Like Dave Filoni even said, if you're optimistic, you see this end for her. If you're not, you see this end for her. And we'll get into the ins and outs and intricacies of what Dave Filoni thought about while putting this episode together, and it's absolutely fascinating.
Just like with The Force Awakens, when you're done watching it, there's more questions.
Absolutely.
Way more questions.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the ending, it's ambiguous as to where she's going.
Yeah.
So let's just say that now, at the end of the battle, the two walk away.
Right, yeah.
But we see Ahsoka from the back walking into the shadows.
Walking down into the shadows.
Yeah, walking into
Descending.
the depths.
And is Vader ascending? Yeah, I believe he said he is.
He's just making a lateral move to his ship.
Yeah.
But Ahsoka, we never see the front of her, so we don't know what happens, any kind of damage, whereas Vader's helmet was sliced open.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to see Anakin, so we saw that, but we don't know what happened to Ahsoka. How much damage is there, but I do believe she's alive.
Okay.
But there's many thoughts we're going to get to as we go on with this segment, because a lot of people have different theories.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is immediately afterward, there was a Q&A with Dave Filoni and Simon Kinberg that was moderated by Amy Ratcliffe, who, of course, writes for thenerdist.com, StarWars.com, and is on Full of Sith.
And she did a great job.
She really did, yeah.
She was funny.
I know, and if you follow her tweets, Amy_geek, she was nervous about this night because she had never done it before.
This is an old hat for her.
What? No, it's not. Not moderating a live event. So it was exciting for her that she got to do this, and I was hoping she would do a good job.
And she did.
Yes.
She did. All right, now let's get into the Q&A that first started with Dave Filoni and Simon Kinberg. Now, here's Dave talking about the tone of the episode and the repercussions of making it too dark.
I was sitting there and I said, look, I have to say this. I know it's really exciting to pitch this really dark stuff, and it sounds great here in the writer's room, and it's awesome, and it's powerful, and yet a year from now, you're going to be in a theater with a bunch of kids and family and a good Star Wars feeling, and it's a totally different thing, because the dark side is intense, is the cautionary tale here. And I, got vetoed, so I've made it dark and scary for you. So, but it's Darth Vader. You're not going to get like sunflowers and Jawas when Darth Vader shows up. So be careful what you wish for.
Sunflowers and Jawas.
Now, this had to be dark. I know with Rebels, they wanted to go lighter for the little kids, but this one here is really dark.
Well,
it really is dark.
It absolutely is, and I think it's interesting that Star Wars Rebels is kind of following the Clone Wars on that path.
They really are.
In that the Clone Wars started as light and fluffy and fun, and it got really dark.
With Snips and Sky Guy and R2-y.
Yeah.
And then look what happens. But yeah, it's I think it had to be it had to be dark to really convey the tones and themes. And once again, when you're working with Darth Vader, yeah, you're not going to have sunshine and rainbows and bunnies and kittens.
Right.
Now you got to wonder what the process was in deciding and bringing on a character like Darth Vader. Because if you have him, you got to utilize him to his fullest potential, and you can't be gratuitous,
Yeah, you can't undermine him either by the rebels always winning.
and you can't have him in every single episode because then the rebels will, of course, escape him. And how much of an adversary will he be if this ragtag team just keeps getting away at the last second every single episode?
Right.
So he had to have a purpose. He had to have a purpose for coming on to this season. Now, what challenges did they have in bringing back Darth Vader?
With Vader, again, you can't bring Vader in to challenge Ezra and Kanan. He's just not going to be that interested in them. You had to have a character that he was personally invested in. And once we had a personal story that would be the foundation of it, it made a lot more sense to tell the story. Plus, Ahsoka could interact with Ezra and Kanan, and you kind of get a more complete tale. Because this season, we wanted to challenge Ezra with the dark side and what that window is now that he's accessed some sort of power. Danger comes with that. He has to be responsible with that power. Will you use it for yourself, or will you use it selflessly? That's always the big question. So along the way, we get to kind of deal with some old characters and see how they are dealing with these same issues.
So I'm really glad that this whole season comes full circle with Darth Vader's character. Mm-hmm. And that he couldn't come back just to fight the rebels, but he had to come back for personal reasons, which really goes in line with The Empire Strikes Back. He doesn't care about the Empire winning over the rebellion for just the Empire's sake. He wants to get Luke Skywalker on his side so he can rule the Empire. So that's all his motivation is. It's always very, very personal for Darth Vader. And I love it how they really rolled that in. They made that a recurring theme in this series. Mm-hmm. Now instead of Luke, you can see that Vader is very, very personal. Now he's going after Ahsoka. And it's just, everything to him is just so tightly wrapped. And what a full character.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The Jedi are so about selflessness, doing everything for others. And Vader, or Anakin, as he, got too involved and too wrapped up in single people, like becoming a Sith made him even more selfish. So it's interesting how Jedi are selfless and Sith are selfish.
But ironically, Anakin was selfish to be selfless because he just wanted to do right by the galaxy. That's all really he was all for. And then the Emperor got into his head and messed it all up. Thanks, Palpatine.
Well, that's what he does.
Now, the scene everyone was waiting for since season 1 is the duel of the century. Now, this happened at the very conclusion of the episode, of course.
Yes.
And it was so intense that there was to be only music, no dialogue, just music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here are Dave Filoni and Simon Kinberg talking about the powerful temp track that they worked off of.
I told Simon early on, I said, I don't think for the last 2 minutes or so of this episode there's any dialogue.
Well, that's actually, I think when I wrote the original draft of this, I wrote it with scenes, with dialogue. And then you took it and you sent us, all the people in the group, a piece of music that isn't a piece of music, obviously, but it was a classical piece of music.
It was,
right?
More depressing.
Yeah, it was. and it was your idea to make it all nonverbal and musical, which was 100% the right way to go.
Yeah, so when they mentioned that, I immediately had a question pop in my head, and I really wanted to ask that question.
And luckily, our recorders were rolling then too.
Yeah, and I got the last question of the session.
Sarah from Skywalking Through Neverland and Fangirls Going Rogue. And I just wanted to ask you, Dave Filoni, you had mentioned that Kevin Kiner, you had some classical piece of music in mind for this episode, the end of the episode, and I wanted to know what that was, and I just love hearing about the music.
I don't know, Kevin. I don't think we should reveal our sources. I do remember, of course. I'm looking at Kevin, and Kevin's like, we do temp a lot of the episodes, and sometimes we get close to that, and sometimes we don't. Usually, I always tell the episode directors, don't fall in love with the temp. The temp music is just to give you a feeling or an idea. So what I'll do with a piece of music is I'll give it to everybody and say, this is the feeling that I want. This is, the emotion that I want expressed when we're playing it. But then Kevin has to go and he has to struggle with finding out, now how do I make that his own? How does he express it and do it in a Star Wars way? And what he's brilliant at is always making me forget about the temp. And I just become obsessed with the music that he's created. And it's individual and unique in its own right. So, it's a real skill. We did kind of do a Philip Glass thing at one point during the season, which was really fantastic. Something that my dad he's a big opera person. And so growing up in my house, he had these huge speakers, would listen to opera all the time. And so what's important if you're working with a composer is you need to have kind of a little index of music that you've listened to. You have to be able to talk their language. So if you're, making films, you can say to people, you hear this music, like I'll cite, Copeland and, Appalachian Spring or Roder, stuff like that. Say, guys, this is the feeling I want. What this music does for you, or the Pines of Rome, and I'll give it to the storyboard artist. I'm like, say, play this when you're storyboarding this scene. Because I'm just a big believer that when you're kind of influenced by something like that as an artist, when it touches you, that it kind of like flows through you onto the page and then onto the screen, and it's just kind of a little bit of abstraction. It's in the DNA of your own creation, and that way this other artist is kind of compelling you, which is a kind of nice thing. But I am excited because I just found out Kevin's going to get to release his 2 seasons finally of music for Star Wars Rebels. That is long overdue, but congratulations, Kev. Really awesome.
Wow, what an amazing response to that question. Like, he went on more than I asked him, and I love that. I mean, having us talk about Star Wars Rebels, the music of Star Wars Rebels this whole season, and for Dave Filoni to actually confirm that, he gives music to his artists, like not just Kevin Kiner, but he gives music to his storyboard artists when they're creating. He gives music to the people who are working on the animation, and the same piece, so that, like he said, it's in the DNA of that episode.
But still, it was never revealed what that piece of music was.
No, it wasn't. And because of that question that I asked, not only for some reason, I don't know why that like people loved that question. So StarWars.com were like looking for me afterwards, wanting to interview me specifically. Although they didn't ask about that question, they just wanted to interview me about the episode, which was interesting. And
hey, we'll take it.
Yeah. And then when we were milling about afterward inside the theater, Kevin Kiner walks by.
Yeah, I turn around and you're talking to Kevin Kiner.
Yeah, he walks by. I think someone said, "Oh, it's Kevin right there." I said, "Oh, Kevin Kiner." I don't know what came over me. I just shouted out his name, or not shouted because he's walking right next to me. But anyway, he turned and he was like, "Oh, are you the one who asked the question?" I was like, yes.
and yes, our recorder was still running when we were talking to him. So we'll play that bit in just a little while, but I want to run through first the Q&A before we get to all these exclusive interviews we got.
Yeah, so it was exciting though that I got to ask that question.
I still don't know why they won't reveal what piece of music they used.
Yeah, and apparently Kevin Kiner never heard it.
Why is that a secret?
Yeah, it shouldn't be a secret. I would like to know, just for my own sake. But
Dave just holds stuff back just for the sake of holding things back?
I think he does. He could have revealed it. It's not a big deal.
Unless in the end he reveals that it was like Flight of the Bumblebee.
I don't think it would be. I'm trying to think what it could be, but apparently Kevin Kiner never heard it, so you probably wouldn't hear in his music some of the temp tracks. So
the things that he was talking about, how directors should really know music, that's the piece of advice every composer gave to me when I was in film school and I was making films. And I would say, I want this to sound like that musical piece in Star Wars. I said, well, Rich, what are you talking about? And so they really drilled it in my head. If you really want to save time and cut to the chase and really speak to a composer the way they understand, they talk in music.
Yes.
So I took all these music theory courses because of that piece of advice.
Wow.
And I knew my Copelands from my Tchaikovskys, from my Mozarts.
So you took like a music history class, not...
It was a music history, music theory.
Cool.
I took a lot of music classes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So once again, I'm so glad that Amy Ratcliffe didn't call that many people in the audience to ask questions because we were short on time. So I'm so glad.
Mm-hmm.
So glad that she asked you to ask her question. Now here is Simon Kinberg and Dave Filoni talking about one of the most shocking images that came from this episode, and that was Vader's smashed helmet.
We were all sitting around a table, and you drew, Dave will draw images as we're working on story. And it's not that he's not paying attention, it's just that he likes to draw. And you drew an image of Vader's split mask, or helmet, which was, I thought, like, one of the most compelling images I've ever seen in all of Star Wars. And it ended up in the show. But I do remember when you were actually just doodled it during a meeting.
Because one of the images paramount to this story, and all the versions of Ahsoka fighting Darth Vader that I've had over the years, and I've thought about it for a long time, is the image of her literally leaping up onto his, chest there, because the scale always intrigued me that she's small and he's this, monolith, and that she could just be poised up there and with her two sabers knock one away and then strike at the helmet. That was always something that lasted year after year after year. And sometimes she died, and sometimes she didn't die after that course of events. And I was telling Kiri and Simon about it, and I said, I saw this image, and Kiri's like, well, let's do it. And I was like, just that easily, let's just do it. So, and then there it was, and I thought it turned out pretty good.
There was artwork produced right after Revenge of the Sith that had Darth Vader fighting in this big battle, and he had a smashed helmet.
Oh.
So you could see a little bit of Anakin's face. And that was a very frightening image.
Wow. I don't remember this.
Now to see it again, but here it is in motion, not just a painting, but in motion. It was a scary image.
It went by so fast, though. I mean, Dave Filoni saying how for years he's been thinking of that moment, and like on the screen it was a flash, and we're in the front row, so it's kind of close to us, and we're like, I need to rewind. I need to see this again.
Maybe to me it struck more of an image, just because when I did see that artwork 10 years ago, it was like, wow,
yeah.
It was jarring.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just the moment where she slices the helmet was very quick. I mean, the moment after where you actually see
when Darth Vader turns around and you can see Anakin in the mask.
Oh.
Because who are you looking at now? Is it Darth Vader? Now that we see Anakin's face, is Anakin looking at Ahsoka with his own eyes and seeing her as his old apprentice, not just as an adversary? So there was so much powerful imagery right there.
And sounds.
And sounds, right. But then he went to go attack her again. It's like, oh, Anakin is truly gone.
Oh.
So it was, this whole episode was just so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And we could hear a lot of people going during this battle, because it wasn't just clash, clash, clash. There was a lot of powerful inner stuff going on.
Yeah.
And that image of Vader, it was just so powerful. And I hope no one releases that image until after everyone has seen this, because I didn't know that was coming.
Oh, yeah. No.
And when Vader turns around, it's kind of like that scene in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
When that, I forget the character's name, but he turns around and half his head is gone.
Mm-hmm. It's
creepy. Kind of like that. Or even when the Terminator in Terminator 2 turns around and he's got like a big giant hole in his head, the T-1000.
Yeah, well, I loved that Amy Ratcliffe just cut to the chase. She asked Dave point blank, so if Ahsoka were to check a box if she were alive or not. Like, please, just answer the question, because the episode surely didn't.
Now, did Dave Filoni answer the question?
Well, you know what? He pureed and danced around that question.
That doesn't sound like the Dave Filoni I know.
And speaking of the dead or alive, if she were to check a box.
I think that right now what's important is it's really a moment for you as a fan, and for me to see more of what you're made of. Like, how strong is your faith What do you believe? What did you see there in the final moments? Because I know what happened for sure. And I think that it would be just cruel and rob you of your own independence if I said blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like I didn't put an image of Vader like dragging her head along at the end. That'd be horrible. That would be like, I couldn't even get off this lot if that happened. And yet I didn't have a lost cat come up and purr at her ankle as she picked it up and said, close one. So I don't, neither of those is an acceptable outcome. So I just kind of picked some really, for once, you'll say for once because I never answer your questions, but nebulous with complete certainty as to what happened in my own mind. And now at conventions I'll be plagued with what people think.
End of time.
Which is fine. I can deal with that because interest is good because it means we keep making show.
Victor Franco had a good take on this when we talked to him a little bit later on. And let's see what you Skywalkers think about his theory.
It's still nebulous for me, but what I want to do, because in this episode, I think it's after the whole fight, there is that bird creature that flies away.
Right, yeah.
That means something.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I need to, there was an episode earlier where Zeb said something about that creature. And I want to go back and see what he said, and I know it relates to that moment. So there's a puzzle piece to unlock there.
Right.
So before I make an answer, I want to check that out, and I want to watch this episode again.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, she's stuck on the planet, the dark side planet, where a big Sith temple is housed.
Yeah.
But the crew of the Ghost, they know she's there, but they don't know if she's dead or alive. But
you would think they would think she's
Ezra
dead
or Kanan
because
could reach out into the Force and feel her presence. It's so open to interpretation, but I think they're going to come back, and will Ahsoka be the same Ahsoka that they once knew of her?
Or will she be changed?
But she doesn't consider herself a Jedi.
No.
Because even Darth Maul makes a joke of that.
Yeah. That was so funny.
He says we have 2 Jedis and a part-timer.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah. So Skywalkers, what do you think?
What do you think? Please tweet at us at SkywalkingPod.
I think it's more involved than just, is she dead or alive? I think there's more to it. That's just too simple. That's almost like saying Rey's father is Luke Skywalker. It's too simple. There's more to it. We just don't know what that missing piece is. I think it's a good idea to go back and look at that bird creature that flew away. Birds in films and television, always symbolic.
And like Dave himself said in this Q&A, everything in this episode is symbolic. Nothing is arbitrary.
That's just a rule of film. If you're going to show something, have it mean something. Don't waste a frame.
Yes.
And there is tons of symbolism at the Malachor Sith Temple that is housed on the planet of Malachor. Now, here is Dave explaining what went into the design of the temple and the symbolism behind the music and the whole thematics of this scene.
I found this fascinating. If you listen to one thing in this Q&A, this is what you listen to.
I wanted this kind of like Dante's Inferno kind of concept where there's like the sky, right, which is the light, and as heaven, they descend to the clouds, and they reach like a plane of glass where you see their inverted reflections in it, and you don't realize that is hollow. And when you crack that, you fall through. And then I was really interested in this idea that what became the light sky became darkness and stars, but it's actually beyond. It's like that old way that the Greeks looked at the sky and thought there were pinholes in the sky, in the night sky. So I wanted to play those kind of ideas, and then we would get these kind of pillars of light. So that is the combative level where light and dark are kind of intertwined and in conflict. And then when you go below that, you get into the underworld. You kind of get into the world of the dead. And Maul, for all intents and purposes, is dead. So he's kind of the walking dead underneath the earth there until he can be lifted up. And what lifts him up is youth and hope and opportunity, and that carries him up the staircase. So that a little bit too, you see them going up and then the other stuff going down, which is a little bit of a clue for what's happening at the end. But I don't like to do a lot of those type of puzzles. I don't like to do things that are really abstract all the time. But this was an episode where it could be abstract because the explanation of everything is in the coding of every scene. Every environment is intentional with this. Ezra's in a pillar of light when he meets Maul. To join Maul and help him, he has to leave it. And none of that is arbitrary. I tell my storyboard artists, absolutely nothing we do is arbitrary. We are controlling every frame, every moment has to be designed. And so the team does a great job at thinking on that level. And for Kevin too, once he can see those images and the interplay of light and dark is going to affect how he writes the music. And we would have a whole session just on the music and the sound design of that temple, which is really brooding. So we would know when we needed music to reinforce and when we needed to just be empty and put you really in that place. So one place you can use that, I'll give you two examples quick because now we're short on time. When the female inquisitor dies, you go from an intense moment of music to absolute nothing in reality. So when it hits her, it hits you with impact because there's no music. It's just sound and she falls and it's like being shocked into reality. So there's a big thud there. When Kevin did this great thing in the music where Ezra is ascending on a pillar and the music is descending against him. So again, we have this interplay of ascension and descension, always playing. It's like those little escalators you see the bulldog on in Tom and Jerry cartoons, going up the escalator, someone else going down the escalator. They used to mess me up as a kid, by the way. And there are those weird episodes of the bulldog like go to hell, and you're like, what is this? Like, this is terrifying. But cartoons can do that. Animation can do that. That's probably why I made this whole episode. It's probably not my fault at all. It's in my subconscious from those
Tom and Jerry's fault.
I instantly knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, okay. Now, is it just me, but like what he says about the ascension and descension in that whole episode just gave me chills just then.
It did, but then he said he doesn't like to throw in that many abstracts, and I love that. I love,
yeah.
But he said he does, but he doesn't want to do that many. And I know it's geared toward kids, and kids don't always understand
but this is the finale, so.
Right, but I love it that the fact that he does do that. I wish he would do more of it, just because when you watch it as a kid and when you watch it later on in life, it's going to mean something totally different.
Yeah.
I think he can appeal to both audiences, so I hope he does do more of the abstract, like the ascension and descension themes.
Yeah, but when he talks about that ascension and descension and the fact that Ahsoka is descending at the very end, it's like, oh, it gives me chills. Meh.
Just wish he would mention where she was descending to.
Exactly.
If you think about it, she's descending to where Ezra found Darth Maul.
Yeah, it's true. And how long was Darth Maul there?
So what's going on down there? Now, speaking of Darth Maul, and I wish Entertainment Weekly had not spoiled it, because I didn't know Darth Maul was going to be in it until I saw that article.
I know.
But here next is Dave Filoni talking about a really cool beginning of the show that they were playing with that involved Darth Vader and Darth Maul.
Whoa.
Oh, this is the part that gave me goosebumps.
If you remember, there was a really, really ultra fan, uber nerdy beginning to this story arc, which was Ahsoka wasn't even in it, and we were trying to devise, you and I were very hot on this idea that we were going to do an episode from Vader's point of view, and he was hunting people. And you would think it was a crew of the Ghost, and only at the last moment would it be revealed that he was actually hunting Darth Maul. And then you and I were like, I'm gonna be Vader versus Maul. And it was like, yeah, that would be great. But then it was so just like self-serving, like roll of 20 stuff that we just couldn't. And the Ahsoka story.
You just made that so much nerdier.
Yeah, it just became so much more compelling to say, but if it's Ahsoka, and then slowly but surely dwindle away. And then I had a follow-up meeting with you after the first version of the script that I read it. And remember I was telling you, gosh, we have to eliminate this person, eliminate this person, blind Kanan, like all this stuff. And I'm like, each one of these things is gonna take so much time. And I was like, I need everybody out by Act 3. Everybody out of the pool. Well, I only have Vader and Ahsoka to deal with to even resolve that, because it's only like a 7-minute act. So any prolonged lightsaber fight, all of that gets apportioned, like how much time I have to tell the story in 42 minutes. In a longer format, all those beats would be stretched out longer, you can imagine. But yeah, it was one of the interesting panic moments of there's too much story in this short little time.
What happened? I would have loved to have seen that intro.
I know. Okay, so he's talking about self-serving Darth Maul versus Darth Vader. Is that just because like Anakin saw him as a child, or what's
no,
up?
I think what he's talking about is he doesn't want to throw it in there just to throw it in there because the fans would love it.
Okay.
But then again, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
look at The Force Awakens. Everything JJ did was because he knew the fans would love it.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that they didn't go that direction. How awesome would that have been? You got to figure Vader's got this agenda.
I do like the fact that we don't see Vader until the very end of this episode, though, when it's imminent that he and Ahsoka will meet.
Right. Aside from seeing Vader versus Ahsoka, who doesn't want to see Vader versus Darth Maul?
Yeah.
At some point, Darth Maul's got to be killed off.
Well, you know where you can see Vader versus Darth Maul?
Yeah, in the comics.
Disney Infinity. I'm just saying.
Okay. You can see Vader fight alongside Darth Maul at the Jedi Training Academy at Disneyland.
That's true.
And then, once again, like I was just saying, there was those comics, and every fanboy went crazy. So I know you gotta keep the show focused, and he's after Ahsoka, not necessarily after Darth Maul. That would have come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, keep that main focus, pinnacle peak of Ahsoka versus Vader.
Right. So I agree with.
We see where it went.
That.
Yes.
But that definitely should be part of season 3.
Or deleted scenes of the DVD.
Well, it was never shot, so there won't be a deleted scene.
Oh, that's true. Could have been storyboarded.
Well, he was just saying that they went through it in the story conference.
Oh, never mind that.
I'm right there with you.
All right.
But I think when Darth Maul does go, he needs to go at the hands of Darth Vader. Not the hands of the Emperor, because we already saw that battle in the Clone Wars. So we need to see Darth Vader just kind of clearing the playing field, kill all the Jedi and all the ex-Sith.
All right. Well, what's next in this Q&A? I'm excited.
Now, in this next clip, Taylor Gray, a.k.a. Ezra Bridger, he is in the hot seat, and he is asked about his interpretation on Ezra's last scene and how Dave was no help in telling him what was happening.
As usual.
Well, I just asked Dave a question when we got back there. At the very end, he's holding a holocron, and he looks up, and I think his eyes went red. No? Yeah, but then I was asking, is it just a great animator who was like, oh, he has something red in his hand, so let's reflect red off his eyes, or are we saying something like that? And I can't get a straight answer.
I'm shocked.
You know, what's great is you should have seen he had to stand between Freddie and Sam to record his lines. And Freddie knows a lot about Star Wars, and Sam knows everything about Star Wars.
And I know a ton about Star Wars.
Right, yeah, and it's like playing out before my very eyes as Whitwer's just coercing Taylor over to his side. You know Whitwer, and if he was here, that'd be crazy. But I thought Sam's performance was great. He is really something else as Maul, and you guys played off each other really, really well. So it's just interesting to see you guys all just being who you are. You couldn't be anything else. It's interesting.
Now, this is something that is almost taking a back seat because of the whole Ahsoka Darth Vader battle. But in the end, when Ezra does look up into the camera, are his eyes the yellowy Sith red?
I saw some yellowish tinge there.
Yeah, I did see more yellow than red.
Yeah.
Maybe. In that flash of what, like 3 seconds?
Yeah, it wasn't very long, unfortunately.
I thought I could see on the outside of his eyes glowing red.
Okay, one of the reasons we need to watch this again.
Yeah, but oh no, I never saw this coming.
Me either. This wasn't even teased at all. So
Ezra going to the dark side?
Yeah.
And in the episode, he did use that dark side quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to open up those pillars and
those doors.
As he's following Darth Maul down this labyrinth of
unknowingly he was becoming the apprentice to Darth Maul.
Well, he's just so malleable and teachable.
Yeah, wow. I think that's something that really needs to be delved into, but then again, it's 3 seconds. 3 seconds, but leading up to that, did you feel like, why is Ezra using his inner dark self because Darth Maul kept saying, "Don't worry about labels. Just if you have the power, go ahead and use it."
Maul is so compelling himself. Like, I just think he knew it was wrong, and yet he allowed himself to do it because, Ezra allowed himself to do it because his master's always telling him what not to do. And, the surest way to get a kid to do something is to tell him not to do it.
Yeah.
So I think all these lessons with Kanan telling Ezra, don't do that, Jedi does this, not that.
So you think in the back of his head, he wanted to.
I think it made it easy for him.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Now, in this next clip, finally, Dave Filoni is willing to tell us something. Now, when did Ahsoka know Anakin was still alive?
She doesn't want to believe, I'll give you something here. She doesn't want to believe that Anakin would be capable of becoming Darth Vader. And when we were talking about the possibility, George and I talked at length about Order 66 and Ahsoka and what happened. And we had it all figured out. And one of the biggest things, one of the key elements is that her whole life, once she's trained by Anakin, when she's at peace and calm and looks into the Force, she can sense the presence of her friend. And this is something that occurs. When tragedy strikes someone, you'll read an article about someone that tells something bad happened to their parent or their sibling, and they call and something's happened. So you have this connection between people. She's always looked at the Force and been able to be comforted that he is there. When Order 66 happens, she reaches out to the Force and he's gone. There is no Anakin Skywalker. So just like there is non-existence of so many Jedi, she assumes he's dead. So when she encounters Darth Vader at the beginning of Rebels Season 2, she looks into this dark void, and at the center of it, she gets hit by something that's so familiar, it's overpowering, that it just shocks her back, and she goes unconscious. Her unconscious mind is completely aware that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, but her conscious mind can't handle it. She just cannot accept that truth. So she spends the whole season basically coming to grips with that fact, which we see in the Jedi Temple, that this is the truth. Once she understands the truth that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, she is faced with the same problem Luke Skywalker faces, which is Luke says, I cannot kill my own father, and she cannot kill this person that was her dear friend. She cannot do it, but nor will she leave him and abandon him. And she feels like she did before, because she feels guilt. Because if he became this terrible dark person that's done all these horrible things, she feels like she is in part responsible because she could have been there and prevented it. That's not necessarily true, but tell her that. So those are the type of things she's dealing with. And I've drawn a lot of parallels to the writers between what Lancelot feels guilt-wise for the betrayal of Arthur and the kingdom there. Anything with Parsifal or Galahad, like these type of knights that do great deeds, but they become scarred. And this is Ahsoka's problem. Also, I've spoken at length about Gandalf. So if you want to really understand Ahsoka in this time period and what's happening to her, you could read Lord of the Rings, but you've probably seen that, but you should read it. But get the book on letters that Tolkien wrote, where he explains in detail more of the things that are really going on under the surface of his characters. And I used a lot of that extensively to inform what's happening to her. So that's some good stuff there. And people might have to go read, which is always a good thing to do.
Now, when we saw Ahsoka in that scene where she falls back when she sensed something.
At the opening of this season.
Right, yeah. What was your interpretation of that?
I believe my interpretation was she knows.
Right. Just like he had said, it just hit her all at once because she had felt through the Force and couldn't feel Anakin Skywalker anymore. But now she felt something and it was just so overwhelming, it blew her back.
Right. Yeah, I love that Dave Filoni confirmed that it was kind of like her unconscious mind knew, but and how do you show that in a 22-minute show? So it's all up for interpretation, but it's nice that he threw us that bone.
Now, Adam
Medina.
He had this had really rattled his brain about Ahsoka, and was Ahsoka feeling responsible for Anakin turning into Darth Vader and doing what he did? So he went over and asked him about that, and unfortunately he didn't tell us he was going to go do that, so we didn't have
Bring our recorder.
the recorder. But I did ask him, I reached out to him and said, hey, what exactly did Dave tell you? And he sent me back a message, and I'll read what he says.
Okay.
He wrote, could Ahsoka been able to have saved Anakin? And Dave said no. He said that if Darth had brought her to the Emperor, then Palpatine would have killed her because he knew he never would have been able to turn her to the dark side. That's why he felt it could only work with Luke. Palpatine felt he could turn Luke because he could not sense the strong bond between father and son. That's very interesting. He also said that there was no way Ahsoka could have ever turned Darth back to Anakin under any circumstance. He further mentioned that Ahsoka didn't believe she could turn him back. It was always Luke. It could only ever be Luke to bring Darth Vader back.
Huh. So does that mean that Palpatine felt a strong bond between
No, that means
Vader?
that Palpatine couldn't feel the strong bond between Luke and Vader, so he thought he could split them apart.
Huh.
But let's focus here on Ahsoka.
Okay.
Now, earlier he said that Ahsoka...
Who's he?
Dave
Okay.
Filoni said that she almost felt responsible because had she stayed, maybe she could have turned Anakin away from the dark side.
Right.
But then he told Adam, no, Ahsoka never really believed that.
What I'm thinking, and I know they would never do it, but if Ahsoka had stayed, I think she was like a calming influence on Anakin. And, Anakin has his ties and bonds to people that he shouldn't have. But I think Ahsoka leaving was just one small step in his downfall.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Definitely, yeah. And just the way the Jedi treated her and were treating him, it just all came down in an avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
But I just find it odd that Dave had told Adam Medina that no, Ahsoka never believed that she could turn Anakin. She could never turn him away from the dark side.
Right.
I think Dave would know best, but I would believe that Ahsoka would think that she could keep Anakin away from the dark side. Because she was always his voice of reason.
Right, but she was also his Padawan.
Right, but there were many scenes where she talked some sense into him.
Yeah, that's true.
She kept him grounded.
Well, these characters live in these people's heads, so I guess he's thought about it.
Now, personally, I do believe that Ahsoka could have saved Anakin. That's my belief.
Now, I know Dave Filoni has been talking a lot, and that's because, honestly, the most interesting person to talk to about an animated show or a movie or anything, having been to many of these press events, is the director, is the producer. They have thought about these things so much. They know so many ins and outs. But we do get to hear a little bit from Ashley Eckstein, and she now steps in and talks about recording with Matt Lanter for this episode and Ahsoka believing what happened to Anakin.
Recording with Matt, honestly, I thought those days were done. I mean, I really didn't think I'd ever get to record with Matt again. And so to get that opportunity to record with him was truly a gift. And I didn't believe up until that point, I didn't believe that Ahsoka knew that was Darth Vader. I still thought that, she was skeptical. All the fans were like, oh, she knows. And I was like, I don't really think she knows. Kind of like what Dave said. It's like believing that a family member could murder someone. You just can't believe that. So after that recording with Matt is, when she finds out. And it was now having to face the reality that, okay, that those happy times are gone. Those are no more. And now I need to confront the fact that Anakin is Darth Vader. And, I've always said that no matter what happens with Ahsoka, I trust Dave, so whether she lives or dies, he's always going to do the right thing for the overall Star Wars story. And so whatever that be, I promise this, and I'm always fine with it. And of course I became so attached to her, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to her. But he once told me that if Ahsoka and Vader faced off, it wouldn't be a good thing for Ahsoka. and that was several years ago. And so I always had that in the back of my head. It's like, okay, I trust Dave. I want her to live, but oh, it's not going to be good for Ahsoka.
Aww. You stay away from Ahsoka, Vader. You stay away from her. Stay away from my girl.
Yeah, Vader. But I love that subtlety when they mixed James Earl Jones and Matt Lanter together.
Yeah.
Because when Vader turned around and you saw Anakin in there, it suddenly became Matt Lanter. And wow, that was such a great, powerful moment.
That's one of the things I need to see again because I don't remember hearing Matt Lanter.
And at that point, I thought, oh, Anakin's back.
Oh,
Anakin's back.
Yeah.
Now that he's looking at Ahsoka, will he see her as the apprentice and not as an enemy?
Right.
Oh, that excited me to no end. However, now we see what Ashley's real concern was and why she wanted to know if Ahsoka lives or not.
So I want to know, am I reprinting the Ahsoka Lives t-shirts?
I think what's great about this, again, it's kind of like you could sell 2 shirts. This is what I do. I help her out all the time. But what you do is you sell this shirt for like the optimist, right? And then you sell a new shirt and just all you have to do is to take that design and add a question mark. And that's all you have to do. It's a really inexpensive thing. You can even take like back stock you have of additional shirts that can't sell, and you could just like boom, put a question mark on it, and it's a whole new shirt. It's a brand new shirt. You can sell that one, mark it up.
All right, now it all becomes clear.
It all becomes clear.
It's all a business decision.
First of all, Dave, she doesn't have back stock of that shirt that can't sell. Come on. Although if she made the orange ones again, I'd totally get one.
But now we see her true meaning.
Yeah. I just want to know what to put out for her universe. That's so funny.
It's funny when Ashley says, I don't think I'm funny. No, girl, you're funny.
Yeah.
You're funny.
There were several people there wearing Ahsoka Lives t-shirts. I liked that. And thinking about it, I should have worn my Ahsoka tunic, which I am now sporting today in honor of the day.
Oh, there you go. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, as you can probably tell, this is a very, very complex episode. And structuring this must have just been a headache. And the hardest part can be communicating what's in your head to your creative team. Now here, Dave Filoni explains the way he diagrams his structure so everyone is on the same page.
This is how my mind works. It's very whatever, but I was telling Gilroy, I was like breaking down this episode visually in the second half of it. I was trying to say, how are we going to figure out how each of these things plays out structurally? For me, I need a beat here and a beat here and a beat here. As each thing escalates, because it's a lot of things to juggle. And the diagram, I would do a lot of visual diagrams for the team to follow when we're storyboarding and everything. The diagram I drew them was actually Donkey Kong. Because I was like, we have a pyramid shape which has levels. And they go up. It really has to work on that simple of a level because there's so many moving parts. What I'm getting at is your audience has to track it visually. And if you can't give them something to grab onto that makes sense very clearly, they'll get lost in the geography. A lot of movies you probably go and see on the weekend, you enjoy a lot less because you just can't tell where the heck people are. And where they are in relation to one another defines a lot of times the tension you have in the scene. The tension is everything. So you think of Luke in the trench. He is in a trench, and he's going to hit that mark. And when he's driving towards that to me is always the best Star Wars movie because everything is coming to that one point. Everything is driving towards that. And you know exactly how it's going to work. You know exactly how it's going to fail. And right when it looks like it's going to fail, a voice of a person you thought was just dead goes, use the Force. You're like, oh my gosh. And everybody jumps up like, this is going to work. If you do that. And we are chasing that moment in Star Wars, we want to get you to that point. And so I use these type of little visual cues in Donkey Kong. So there you go.
So I want Dave Filoni to narrate every movie. Like, that was hilarious.
I want Dave Filoni to go visit Chris Nolan.
Yes.
Say, when you're making a movie, let the audience know where the characters are.
Oh, yeah.
And stay away from the close-ups.
Yeah. Location is such a big thing. It's funny how he puts into words what we probably subconsciously think when we're watching these movies, like Chris Nolan movies, where everything is so intercut
that's
up close.
Subconscious.
That's
me yelling at the screen. Give us a long shot.
I know. But like for me, like sometimes you don't understand something, and I think that is why they don't give you that nice establishing shot so you understand where these characters are in relation to each other.
Well, that's what Lucas was fantastic at.
Yeah.
His establishing shots. He would establish where you were and where the characters were in relation to each other.
Yeah. So I liked how in now this episode of Star Wars Rebels, you have that temple. You're like down below. You have that temple point to get to, that pinnacle, right?
Yeah.
And they keep on looking back at that, like looking back.
Yeah.
So,
and the characters are going up and down constantly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Up and down and up and down and
Yeah.
ascending and ascending and
Yeah, and I thought it was very odd in that one scene where Darth Maul is fighting the Seventh Sister.
Okay.
And you see a gorilla behind them. And he's picking up barrels and throwing it at Mario.
I think you were watching something else.
Was that just
That was in
me?
Dave's mind.
And then when they finally got to the pinnacle of the Sith Temple, you saw Pac-Man. I'm not kidding about that.
I think you are.
He's going waka 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 waka. Woo, 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 woo. He was.
Uh-huh. I don't really know where to take that.
Yes, and yes,
okay.
and
I'm sorry. Yes, and now.
and now we'll move on to our next clip.
Yes. How about that?
Okay, great. Here's a question that was asked, and that is, do you guys ever go to the expanded universe and mine from that well? Because there's already a huge universe right there that's just ready for the plucking.
Right. And you were going to ask this question,
I was going to
right?
ask this question, and someone beat me to it, but later on, when we get the FaceTime, I do ask my question in a different way. So
okay.
I won't tease that anymore.
We'll hear that.
Yeah, we'll hear that in just a bit.
Okay. But right now, let's hear what Dave says in the Q&A.
I work the same way with Rebels that I worked on Clone Wars, which is the world of the expanded universe is there for us. There's some fantastic ideas in there, and we mine it all the time. I think it's important because a lot of people put a lot of work into those stories. A lot of fans love those stories, and I respect that greatly. The Imperial aircraft carrier that the Rebels stole is actually something out of West End Games. Doug Chang had done a design of it, so we used that. I like using stuff that's there. I don't think we always need to invent something new. So over the years working with everyone, I would always say, well, do we have anything like that in Star Wars? Because what a thrill for somebody if it turns up on screens.
Now, I had a follow-up to this, and this was my question inspired by one of the first lines in the episode.
Okay.
One of the first lines Ahsoka says in this episode we just saw was, there's always truth in legends.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
She gave a little pause before that.
I wrote that to mess with you. That's not even a joke.
Well, it did mess with us.
So Thrawn will or will not be making an appearance?
Couldn't say.
I never know what to believe from him.
I know.
He just said that he does
think about everything.
About legends and the expanded universe.
Yeah.
So when Ahsoka did say, there's always truth in, wait for it, legend.
Were you thinking that was referring to the novels?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely,
No,
yeah. That was...
I would absolutely think it is. Like, I don't think I need to ask him for confirmation.
I just wanted to hear right from him, even though I wasn't sure what to expect. But to me, that was a wink and a nod to the audience.
Yes.
That you will start to see a lot of the expanded universe or legends now start to seep into the animated series. And the guy in the audience that asked the question first, he was powering to Thrawn.
Yeah. Yeah, he really wanted Thrawn back in.
Yeah, and of course Dave said, I'm not gonna tell. Yeah. Even if I did know, I'm not gonna tell.
Yeah.
And he went on and on. He said he woke up this morning at 4 a.m. and he was just running on adrenaline.
Dave Filoni, yes.
So he was on fire. So if you want to see this whole press conference in full and see how much Dave went on and on and on about teasing the audience and just he was just running on pure adrenaline. So watch for our video that we had shot since we were right there in the front row, and you'll be able to see Dave go on and on and on and just running on his last fumes.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Great stuff.
Now to wrap things up at the Q&A, Amy Ratcliffe asks each of them what they think of Ahsoka's fate.
Go down the line really quick, and this is not a question for Dave because he doesn't answer and he's not going to share. So Taylor, as far as you, not your character, do you think what do you think the status of Ahsoka is?
Alive.
Ashley?
I think Ahsoka lives.
I know the answer, so I'm not going to answer. I think, like Dave says, it's up to your imagination, and then eventually you will learn one way or another.
I was hoping Simon Kinberg right there would crack.
I know. I know.
That was just revenge for not giving up the seat next to me. If you won't give me my seat, then I won't give you the answer.
Oh my god.
That's just the way it works.
That was so crazy.
So, well, the consensus is Ahsoka lives.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought when I didn't see her, lying there dead. So, but like you said, they would never show that.
No, never.
For sake of all the little girls watching.
Right. All right, let's take a break right now and read some shout outs and reveal the Skywalker of the week. But first, let's hear from another great podcast.
You know you've been there. You're browsing Netflix or Hulu, checking out the new editions, when you find yourself pondering, was the Wonder Years really as good as you remember? And why did your mom and dad like Taxi so much? Sure, you could just hit play, but like any reasonable person in the internet age, you want to do your research. That's where we come in.
I'm Jeffrey.
And I'm Hannah.
And we're the curators of the TV Museum podcast. In each episode, we bring you an in-depth look at a show that's been off the air for more than 15 years, but is available on a major streaming service, all with the goal of helping you make the most of your TV time.
We don't just review your favorite shows, we also take you on a tour behind the scenes and nerd out about the cast and crew.
It's your one-stop shop for classic TV goodness. Join us every other week for the next exhibit of the TV Museum.
Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice. We'll save a spot for you on our vast and imaginary communal couch.
Thank you very much.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
Well, we met a few Skywalkers at the Rebels Season 2 finale event, including Rocky of the R2 Builders Club. And he saw our shirts and said, hey, I like your shirt. And I said, oh, do you listen? He said, yeah, I love it. He said, oh, I'm Sarah. He's like, oh, great. So anyway, we gave him buttons because we bring our buttons everywhere. And he and his friend. So thank you, Rocky. It was so nice to meet you. And then, of course, I also want to give a big shout out to Tracy and Chrissy of Disney Channel PR for the invite. And thank you to Dave Parfit of adventuresbydaddy.com. You can see several blog posts there, which I've written about the episode. And then Trisha Barr, also a fangirl blog. It was through these two that both Richard and I were able to attend this event. So we thank you so much because it would have been sad.
Yeah, thanks, Dave and Trisha.
Yeah, so much. Now, Patty Hammond, going back to episode 114, which was our Zootopia episode, Patty Hammond shared this episode as a Facebook post, and she said, "Love listening to the episode, great discussion and interviews." So thank you, Patty. We really appreciate you listening.
All right, we're gonna skip this next one, right?
I don't think so.
No, we can skip it. We can skip it.
No, I think we should talk about how Brian Young was teasing us about not giving Kinberg his seat.
No, we can skip it. Let's move along. Move along.
Thanks, Brian Young, for that.
Yeah, thanks, Brian Young.
Not shout out. Oh boy, that was funny.
Now let's skip ahead to the Skywalker of the week, who was not Brian Young.
Rebecca, White Brock. Rebecca, White Brock. Rebecca.
Congratulations, Rebecca White Brock.
Thanks for all the commenting you do while we Periscope.
Yeah, that too. And then she also does the live tweet thing, which is fun.
Yeah, that's why you are the
Skywalker
of the Week. Composed by Rob Dellinger.
Our John Williams of podcasting.
Now, if someone else wanted to be that lucky and get a Skywalker of the Week jingle, what would they do?
They have to meet us somewhere and say hi. They have to tweet out anything. They have to Facebook post, whatever you can do to connect with us online or in person. And we just might pick you as the Skywalker of the Week.
As composed by Rob Dellinger.
The John Williams of podcasting.
And now, back to our comprehensive coverage of the Star Wars Rebels Season 2 finale.
Okay, so after the Q&A, we all rushed the stage wanting to get some FaceTime with the cast and crew, and I honed in right on Ashley, which was fortunate because I think she was one of the most popular ones that people wanted pictures with, so.
Yeah, and I was so eager to ask her a question, which was a follow-up to a question I'd asked her at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, and which was, as an actress, how will you prepare for your big scene with Darth Vader?
Dun, dun, dun.
At the time, she said, well, I don't know. I haven't seen the script yet, so I'm not sure. Well, now that you've seen the script and recorded it, and now we've all seen it, what was the process like?
Yeah.
And this is what she said.
At Star Wars Celebration, one of the questions I asked you was, how are you going to prepare for the scene? You said, oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So now that you recorded it,
it,
what was your mindset walking into that recording session?
Oh, I thought that she could die in there.
So even when you recorded it, you didn't know?
Oh, yeah. I said goodbye to everyone. Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, she said goodbye. That must have been so emotional. Like after.
Yeah, I can't believe that she would think Ahsoka would die.
Yeah, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I'm just of the belief that they're not going to kill off this character.
Well, like she
Not gonna
said,
do it.
Dave Filoni had said to her that if Vader and Ahsoka met,
right, but
it wouldn't be good.
That's Dave.
I know. Oh well. So after talking with Ashley a little bit more and getting this awesome print signed by her, you talked with Dave Filoni.
Right. And at that point, I was hoping to get my credit card back from Ashley Eckstein.
Oh?
Nope.
Nope.
Still has it.
Uh-oh.
You know what? I shouldn't have given her my security code. What was I thinking?
I'm sorry.
But from there, we went over to Dave, and I asked him about maybe Season 3 leading into Rogue One. That would make a whole lot of sense. So for Season 3, will there be any Rogue One references? Are we going to lead into Rogue One at all?
I would definitely know, but I wouldn't say.
They did it with Clone Wars. I don't know if you know that.
What's that?
They led into
the micro series into Revenge of the Sith.
Really?
Yeah.
Right,
so
yeah.
for
canon.
For Rebels, you'll go into Rogue One. You're saying?
No. I wouldn't say.
I mean, not that it hasn't been done before, but.
Oh.
I keep trying to trick them into telling us.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to be working too well.
No, never has. These people are tough nuts to crack.
Yeah.
But we do know that Dave once spilled the beans about Chopper to Eliza Peralta.
Yep.
So why not tell me what's going on? Just because I had a recorder in my hand.
Because you're not a cute 7-year-old girl that's going, oh, please tell me what happened. Who's Chopper's voice?
How do you know that I'm not a cute 7-year-old girl? Wait a minute, hold on. Maybe I should have thought that one through.
Yes. Well, after the screening, everyone was kind of still milling about inside the theater. It was kind of like a big after party.
Yeah, it really was.
It was cool. So we ran into a few friends and we asked them their opinion because the first thing everyone wants to do after this episode is ask, what do you think happened?
Now, first up are Rebel cosplayers Sal, Axel, and Liz Perales, as well as R2 Builder and the man behind the R2 unit at our wedding, Victor Franco. All right, we're now talking to Sal and Liz Perales, the infamous cosplayers. So what did you guys think about that ending? What did you make of that?
Oh my God, I need to watch it like at least 3 more times to be able to absorb everything. I mean, it was really amazing, but it's open for interpretation, so, I need to watch it a couple more times.
What's your interpretation?
She lives.
Oh my God. Ahsoka lives.
She lives, yeah. Yes, I am.
All right. Sal, what did you think?
I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was
beautiful, and the music was excellent. Like, Kevin Kiner just knocks it out of the park. This season, he's nuts. Like, everything has been killer.
And what's your prediction for all the characters? Let's start with Ahsoka.
I mean, the important characters, it feels to me, in a weird way, like Maul and Ahsoka switched places. So I don't know, like, she's there.
In terms of Ezra?
No, as in terms of, like, that's where she's stuck and has to learn or grow or whatever she's doing. She's there. She doesn't have a ship. She doesn't have anything. Maul was there, trapped for years until whatever comes to, like, what happened to Maul. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but I don't think she's dead.
So do you
I think I'm going to have a lot of trouble, or a lot of fun, bumping into people at cons now, being blind.
Yeah, since you are the Kanan cosplayer, will you go walk around with a white bandage around your eyes?
Walk around with a white bandage, or possibly I'm going to have to look up a temple guard maybe now.
And then bumping into things?
Yeah, just bump into stuff.
Yeah. Now, seeing it on a big screen, we got a chance to see Ezra's eyes.
Yeah.
What color to you, Sal, was Ezra's eyes?
To me, it was a reflection, but that's not important because in the temple he was using the dark side. So, to me, he's not a Sith, but he's definitely vulnerable. He's still vulnerable to the possibility of using the dark side.
Axel, you have cosplayed as Ezra. What do you think? What do you think of Ezra's fate? Will he go to the dark side?
Probably.
Really? And what will he do when he gets there?
I'm probably trying to do everything he can to kill the Empire.
Oh, like Maul? Okay,
Okay.
that's a new twist.
Interesting.
Okay, that's a good twist. Very good. All right, thanks, guys. Oh, and Victor Franco. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Yeah, where's R2?
Oh, he's at home. He's resting after 3 days at WonderCon.
Oh, yeah. I'm not recording. This is the only way I can talk to people. This is the hold a recorder. So, Victor, what did you think of Twilight of the Apprentice?
I have a theory on what happened to Ahsoka. My theory is that she's now a Force ghost. So she's no longer with us as a corporal being, but I think that she's not done as a character. I have a feeling Ashley has some more lines to record one day in the future. That's my guess.
Really? What makes you think that she was a Force ghost?
Because I think it's a compromise on whether she's dead or alive. It's a chance to bring the character back, but not necessarily in the same capacity we've known her. So I don't think the character is over completely, but I have a feeling that she's not going to be a physical force like we've seen her in the previous, in Clone Wars and Rebels. That's just my guess. I have no idea.
Now, if she had walked away and you'd seen like a blue shimmer around her, that would have sealed it.
So that was kind of vague as to exactly what we saw at the end of the episode. I'm not positive. I mean, I hope she is alive and well. So I love the character and especially the way Ashley portrays her. So I would love to have her be just fine, but my guess is that she's not.
All right. So overall, what was your favorite moment of the season finale?
Well, the climactic battle between Ahsoka and Anakin and seeing the mask get split like that was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that, and see the glimpse of Anakin's face and trying to figure out, like, does he feel anything toward his old apprentice? Does he have any emotion there? Like, maybe, I can't harm her. But you could tell that he wasn't feeling that way. So that was kind of a very intriguing moment in this particular episode.
Very good. You know what? We haven't heard from you yet, but I forgot your name. Rob. That's right. I'm sorry there, Rob. Rob, what was one of your highlights?
I think probably my favorite part was seeing all that beautiful dark side Sith temple. It was fantastic. Yeah, I was pretty excited when I saw all that. Was wanting to see a little bit more in depth, but it was beautiful. It was awesome.
That last voice you heard was Rob Yanagihara. So thank you, Rob, for joining us.
Yeah, one of our good cosplaying friends who always got those Sith eyes.
He does. It's creepy.
Freaks me out in a good way.
Yes. Well, while you were talking to that group of people, I was talking with Vanessa Marshall, who happened to be standing right behind them. And it's lovely. She's always so wonderful to her fans and friends. And she came over herself. She is, of course, the voice of Harrison Dula. She came over and gave us her immediate reactions.
Yeah, you were going, Rich, Vanessa Marshall.
Yeah.
So I quickly turned the microphones over to her.
Yep.
And now we have Vanessa Marshall over here, the voice of Hera. What did you think? This is your first time you'd seen this episode.
Yes, it's the first time. And it strangely, I did not weep. I thought I was going to lose it, but I couldn't breathe.
Okay.
So I think I finally exhaled once the credits rolled, and even then I was still a bit on edge, and I always need a minute. And I mean, when I saw Force Awakens the first time, didn't cry. Second time, didn't cry. Third time, lost my mind. So I think it's sort of maybe it does. So luckily we can all watch it together on Wednesday night. And we can freak out, and then I'll tell you honestly if I'm sobbing. I probably will be. I think I was so terrified that something horrible would happen to Ahsoka that I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even take that in. It's almost like when you're in complete denial. I think I said no about 40 times, but I did not cry, which is shocking. I thought I was going to be crying through the whole ending. But
What do you think?
What do you think happened?
I think she's alive.
Okay.
I'm going to go with alive, and I'm going to go with if she's dead, Qui-Gon. I don't care. It's fine.
Okay.
She's going to chill with Qui-Gon, and it's not over. And I think Yoda sent her there probably knowing that would happen. And if she is, he knows about the afterlife from the season 6 arc of the Clone Wars.
Right.
So I'm thinking there's nothing to worry about.
Okay.
I like it. No question mark after Ahsoka lives. That's a period and an exclamation.
You know Dave Filoni better than we do.
Yeah.
Would he have done something like maybe have a blue shimmer around her or have her just disappear into that darkness?
I do not know him that well. I really don't. I mean, he's
never met the man.
No, I mean, I know I work with him, but stuff like that, I have nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what was the big showstopper for you for this finale?
Well, when Darth Maul says Maul, and then it's an act break, or we cut to commercial, or would have, that scared me to death. And I thought Sam did an amazing job. But when Darth Vader comes down on the TIE fighter, also sublime. And the music was compelling the entire time. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint it. I'm definitely glad we get to see it again. Yeah.
I was amazed when we got to see Ahsoka fight Darth Maul.
I know.
I thought, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for this.
And he said, did he call her Miss Tano or something like that?
Miss Tano, yeah.
Oh dear.
Lady Tano.
Lady Tano.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
hilarious.
Very formal. Yeah. Yeah, and then how about Rex? What are your thoughts on Rex? Do we want to see more of Rex?
Yeah, well, and we will, I'm sure. Yeah, Rex is the man. Yeah.
Well, I know that Kanan still has that thing against clones. I know he's warming up to them.
Oh, no. I think bygones are bygones. I think they're all in it together. I think that those reservations are from earlier in the season, and I think now they're one family with mutual respect. And I think you're going to see a ton. I don't think Kanan's going to see. Oh,
Too soon.
Too soon. No.
Now you get to tease.
Season 3?
Yeah.
Well,
tease them
if I tell you I have to kill myself and you.
We won't
No, I
record this.
can't. No, I can't say anything about season 3. I was told, specifically, but it gets better. So if you think that's not possible, it is.
Wow.
So stay tuned for that. Definitely.
Well, so have you already recorded?
For
season 3?
Yeah.
How far into it are you?
Not allowed to say.
Okay.
Yeah, but
if you were allowed to say, what would you say?
It's all good stuff.
Can we ask you this? Have you run into Ashley at any of the recording sessions?
I plead the fifth.
We're gonna bring the baby. Cool.
So,
all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Yay.
Now, as we were mentioning earlier, I got to ask that final question, which was about the music of this episode. And apparently that everyone loved that question, or the people who I wanted to talk to anyway, because at one point we were standing in the aisles and Kevin Kiner walks by, and I think before I thought, I was like, Kevin Kiner. Thank goodness I said something, because he turned around and he was like, wait, are you the person who asked that question? I said, well, yes, I am. I don't know how he knew it was me, but it was very exciting.
You have a very distinctive voice, and maybe he's a listener of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Maybe. He was interviewed by us at D23 Expo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here is what we talked with Kevin about.
Well, I think you did an incredible job,
Thanks.
and I'm eager to see it again.
Yeah.
To listen. And how excited are you about like having your soundtrack out there?
Yeah, I'm
in
stoked.
the wild.
They're saying maybe Celebration in London they're going to release it. I just turned it in on Friday.
Oh, cool. Are you
So,
going to
yeah.
be there at Celebration?
If they want to send me, I'll go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I sort of doubt I'll be in London. But
Okay.
Are you gonna go?
Can't make it either, but
yeah, I know. It's a
thank
you. I appreciate that.
We were glad we could talk with you at D23. That's when
Yeah.
we spoke with you last.
Right on.
so.
Will any Force Awakens music seep in? Oh, do you mind if I record this?
No, fine. Go ahead.
Will any Force Awakens music seep into season 3 of Rebels?
Yeah, I think that's a good possibility. We haven't discussed it yet, though, so I there's levels of approval I have to go through.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think of like the Force Awakens music? Do you have a favorite track?
No, I don't have it. Somebody asked me like my favorite John Williams track, and I can't answer that at all, even before The Force Awakens.
Right.
John always just, he's the greatest composer on earth.
Yeah.
That's the answer to that question.
Oh, yeah. And will we hear more of the Vader original theme like we heard in Star Wars?
The first one.
Yeah, will we hear any of that in season 3?
You're giving me ideas. Maybe so.
He would just drop his name halfway through the song.
Little Sky walking through Neverland. Yeah, when Vader came down on the TIE Fighter, in my head, I heard that theme.
Yeah, that wasn't it. That was a new motif when he came down on that, and that was Dave and I spoke at length about that, whether it was going to go down, 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 and we decided not to do that because it was just the moment was already there.
Yeah.
And so there was kind of a low string movement that we wound up doing, which I dug it, and it didn't play that loud, which I didn't think it needed to play that loud. It just was supportive because it was just the visuals were amazing. The fact of who he is and everything in the arc of the story is amazing. You're just gilding the lily. You're just putting a hat on a hat, by going, doing too much with the music at that point.
Yeah, I was asking if The Force Awakens may slip into season 3, but it would make more sense if maybe some this plot who's composing Rogue One, if some of his themes and what he's known for were to slip into season 3. Is that a possibility?
Well, he is such a chameleon sometimes, and I mean, he's such an elegant composer. But I mean, everything from Grand Budapest Hotel to, what was it, Argo or whatever. I mean, so I don't know what that would be.
Didn't he even do some Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
I got to go get a poster really quick.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for talking to us. Kevin Kiner, everybody. I so hope he uses my idea of incorporating the original Vader's, you wouldn't really call it a theme.
Right, it's kind of
Like the phrasing?
Yeah, Vader's phrase, I suppose. That's a good method.
Yeah, and I hope they don't go with the Imperial March.
No, that's a little too on the nose.
It's too on the nose.
And it's before his theme was developed.
Right, exactly. Which is why I want them to go with the original Vader phrase.
Yeah, I think it's cool how he was like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. That was so neat.
Feel free to use that, please. Yeah. We're all waiting for it.
Yeah, I just thought it was so fortuitous running into him because we have our segment on the music of Star Wars Rebels, and here's Kevin Kiner to just give us his absolute thoughts about it. So it was so great.
Yeah, so thank you everyone who made that possible and who spoke to us and all the fans, and it was like a little mini celebration.
Absolutely.
It was just so much fun, and we're so glad that we're able to go on behalf of all the Skywalkers and get all this exclusive, comprehensive coverage. And we just love doing that for everyone, and you guys support us, so we want to, in turn,
bring you
to these events with us.
Yeah, and I thought it was great because, once again, we did not get a slot on the red carpet, so we weren't guaranteed any interviews, but the fact that everyone stuck around afterward and were just so willing with their thoughts. And we got all this coverage. Like, it was amazing. So thank you.
That's good to know for next time. If we don't get a slot on the red carpet, we'll get them 10 minutes later.
Well, we'll see, but we have our ways.
We do.
We do.
So we hope all you Skywalkers enjoyed our coverage and the show, because as of now, hopefully you'll have seen the episode Twilight of the Apprentice.
Yes. Well, they shouldn't be listening to this unless they've seen it.
Very true.
So once again, I want to give a big thanks to Dave Parfit of adventuresbydaddy.com. Head there to see some red carpet blog coverage, and also Trisha Barr of fangirlblog.com. Head there to view the whole Q&A. And then please look up our video of the Q&A on skywalkingthroughneverland.com. And also, we want to know your thoughts, Skywalkers. So please tweet at us at SkywalkingPod. What do you think happened to Ahsoka? And where do you think Ezra's going in season 3? Tell us.
And what your thoughts were about that big battle that took place at the Sith temple that no one ever really delved into.
What do you mean the battle?
The battle, we saw all the bodies.
Inquisitor. Oh.
But
the burnt bodies.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was just an ancient battle that happened.
And?
Okay.
And tell us.
Well, tweet at us too at SkywalkingPod. We want to know your thoughts.
Well, that wraps up episode 115 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We would like to thank Dave Filoni,
Ashley Eckstein,
Kevin Kiner,
Vanessa Marshall,
and all of our friends who spoke with us about Star Wars Rebels Season 2 finale.
Now, Sarah, tell everyone how they can get BB-8 t-shirts and Skywalking Through Neverland t-shirts over at TeePublic.
And Skywalker of the Week t-shirts.
And a new t-shirt coming soon.
Oh, yeah? Which t-shirt is that?
Yes, and.
Okay.
But details to follow.
Details to follow. All right. So head to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and click on the Support Us tab, where you can click through to find our t-shirt store on TeePublic and buy t-shirts to your heart's content. And they've also added, among the women's and men's t-shirts and the crew necks and the hoodies, they've added little baby onesies.
So we need everyone to go over there and keep on buying, because we need to raise $32,001 so we can buy that Han Solo Force Awakens jacket, so all the proceeds will go to the research for epilepsy.
Oh, there you go. And you get a jacket? Sounds good.
Oh, yeah. That slipped my mind.
Oh, that's funny.
And if you want to see me wearing that Han Solo jacket, well, you can go ahead and tune into our Periscope.
That's true. All right. So also Her Universe. If you click through our skywalkingthroughneverland.com to Her Universe and buy some of her new clothing coming out. Oh, it's so exciting. That also helps support the show. And we thank you so much for that.
Yeah. And if anyone does see Ashley, please let her know that I'm looking for my credit card.
That's true. All right, so if you want to connect with us on social media, please tweet at us at SkywalkingPod. We also use at SkywalkingPod for Periscope and Instagram. Now, if you have a lot of thoughts and you want to email us, please email us, share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. Next week, I think, hopefully next week, we want to do another Music of Star Wars Rebels segment. So if you have any thoughts on that, please email us.
Yeah, and we recorded a whole bunch of segments that will be coming soon, especially from Craig Miller, who was the publicist and the pre-Steven Sansweet in the 70s and 80s. We got a great discussion with him and can't wait to reveal that. And we did a roundtable with Jeff Roney from the Once Upon a Time fan podcast.
And Jonna Marie Macias of theWikiGunner.com.
We talked all about the generational Star Wars fans.
Yeah, it was super cool. So we've got a lot of content coming to you in the next couple weeks. And then we go to our Star Wars Half Marathon Dark Side at Walt Disney World. So, of course, you'll get coverage from that.
And then there's DVD coverage.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
So much. And, of course, everything coming to Disney. There's the Food and Wine Festival, too, this April. So, so much stuff. All right, well.
We may need to do 2 episodes per week now.
Right? Oh, my goodness. Maybe a shorter one. Well, probably not, but we'll figure it out.
We
right.
try to do shorter shows. Doesn't work out.
No, it doesn't. All right, Skywalkers. Well, until season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, Always remember.
There is truth in legends.
And
Neverland on Alderaan.